Hello, welcome to Fridays at 4 on twitch.tv/DidioStream. I'm your community manager, Kurt Oven. I'll be with you for the next hour hanging out. I have got an announcement here in just a second. We're going to see a little bit about the first quest that'll kick off the Lanterns in the Myths event. And let's just get to the news. It'll kick off the Lanterns in the Myths event when Cormier arrives to the live game world, live game launcher, on Wednesday, October 23rd at 1 p.m. Eastern. Next Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, we are launching Cormier. You'll find it available in the live game launcher. It is a VIP server, and it is a fresh start server, and it has this new Lanterns in the Mists event going on in it. You can find a little bit more about the server on DDO.com. We've been giving it some stress tests using the Lamania game launcher in recent weeks, including a test of the Lanterns in the Mists event this week. I grabbed some video of it late last night because I had to, and we're going to be playing some of that video back here in just a little bit. I'm also going to show off the rewards that you will get for filling up your lanterns here in the Lanterns in the Mists event, and that'll be later on in this show. We also have some news. We're doing stuff related to lag. We're doing stuff related to crossbows. We have got a lot going on. It has been a rough week of the past week or so related to lag. We had some significant game performance issues in the past week that we are well aware of. You are well aware of. We do apologize for those issues, and we worked very hard over the past week and a half to address it as quickly as possible. We got a lot of that work done, at least some pretty significant work done this week. And so this Wednesday's patch, the one that came out a couple of days ago, did include some pretty significant lag reduction measures that have made a difference for now. We have other things that are happening as well. But I did want to just quick mention that, hey, I went and left for 8 days, and I left the team with... So you know that episode of Community? No, I'm kidding. So it was fine, but it was also, we understand that it was a pretty rough week on the game performance side last week, and we were working very hard to deal with it, and then we did get some measures in this week as well. So by the time I came back, y'all weren't as mad at us. So I've been gone. My razor is still buried in the trunk of my car underneath a whole bunch of camping gear. So, you know, I got back on Wednesday evening. And then I worked all day yesterday. And then I've been doing a bunch of work here today as well, getting ready for the weekend and have things going on. And I needed to get this done because I knew we were getting ready to announce Cormier, and we are. Next Wednesday is going to be it. If you want to join us over on the DDO Discord, by the way, we do have an official DDO Discord. I've started a thread because I want to create a character for Cormier for the live stream. Gonna kick off on Wednesday, and it's going to be a first level, first life character, and I don't really know what I want to play, so I've got a thread going over in the DDO Discord if you want to join that and give your suggestion. I think the current front runner is something warlock, but I'm open to suggestions and ideas and all that as well. Yes, 64-bit drops next Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern. And we'll have an official announcement in the game launcher, on the forums, in said Discord, and on social media once the show is done today. We also, next Wednesday will be, at least at this point, the plan is to have next Wednesday be the release of Update 70. Update 70 will include some of those bug fixes that have been in the works for a couple of weeks now. I believe the hireling issue is most likely in next week's patch. I'll be working early next week to collate the final set of release notes, so really at this point I would just look at what we have on the Mania for the best guidance as to what is in Update 70 at this time. But there's a bunch of process that'll be happening in the next couple of days in terms of those final release notes. I would guess that that's going to be in there, even if it isn't on Lamania right now. All right. Let me get to just a little bit of news, other than what I've just done. That would be... There we go, I think. Yeah. Ah. Well, kind of. All right. I want to put this up on the screen quick. This is worth calling out. We do want to get some feedback on it. We've had some good feedback on Lamania this week. But I wanted to take an opportunity on the show here to talk a little bit about what we have going on with performance adjustments to repeating and dual crossbow styles. As Steel Star writes, hello, part of our focus in Update 70 has been tracking down performance issues, and in this preview, which arrived this Tuesday on Lamania, we'll be looking at a change meant to address one of the more common player reports related to performance, that being repeating and dual crossbow attack speed. After investigation, even without running Endless Fusillade, or No Holds Barred, the current rate of fire does seem to have negative impacts on the client, server, and other players when used by builds fully kitted out. So it's bad. Fusillade makes it worse. In and of itself, Fusillade is not the root of the issue. It is just simply that the attack speed is too high. This has been reported by you for some years now. We agree. And basically, as things got pretty rough here on game performance this past couple of weeks, we had to take a look at, all right, well, you know, what else is out there? What can we do? What can we do now, you know, to solve some of these problems? And honestly, this is one of those that has come up. So we've taken some measures to slow down both of these styles' attack and reload speeds. To try to maintain DPS, we're balancing the change around a corresponding buff. We're going to be removing the current double shot penalties, which are currently negative 66%, 2/3, on repeaters, half on dual crossbows with this change. So you'll now get 100% of your double shot score. In update 49, we changed how double shot works, making it more performance friendly. So it's now less of an issue, which is why it was not applied back when 49 went live. We are aware that changes to attack speed are difficult adjustments, and that some players find a lot of fun in being able to shoot fast, you know that. However, the performance gains in such an adjustment are important game-wide, which is why we're looking into it. So internally, the changes are making a significant difference. That was the general feedback on Lamania as well, although it's a little hard to see when you're saying the Testojo or whatever plinking things. We'll be looking to see if the same holds true during the preview. We do encourage people with crossbow builds to try things out. That's now over, but we did get 8 pages of feedback there. Here's a list of changes that are in this build. We've removed the 66% double shot modifier. I already said that. The timing between each shot on repeaters, as well as the timing of each volley before the reload, has been increased slightly. The baseline attack speed of repeating and dual crossbows reduced slightly. Rapid reloads bonus for light repeaters has been reduced. The bonus for heavy repeaters reduced. The bonus for all dual crossbows reduced from 40 to 20%. The bonus, this is all attack speed. The bonus to reload speed from rapid shot for repeating and dual crossbows reduced. This is related to rapid reload for all those things. When running Endless Fusillade, repeating crossbows now have a slight pause between each 3-shot volley, basically to let the server do its thing. I think we've all seen those bits where you've got a bunch of, at least, well, one or more artificers going and those numbers ain't quite lining up. There's a reason for that. Inquisitive's T5 paths will now grant some additional attack speed and double shot, but replacing the 30% flat attack speed, so it's split now to 15% attack and 15% double shot. And the expanded clip epic feat was a contributor to the rate of fire performance problems with repeaters, so it no longer adds an extra shot, and instead gets you a plus 33% stacking double shot with repeaters. There's also been some other adjustments that have taken place already as a result of the preview that Steel Star writes about, that being in Battle Engineer, Inquisitive, and yeah, those two things. So I'm not going to repeat all the little bits there. You could find that in the release notes over on the Mania. But I did want to call that out. That's something that's coming here soon. I think it is going to be a pretty big change for repeaters, and we've got a lot of very high quality feedback on it this week. So I think we're in a fairly decent place related to that. It is currently slated to go live next Wednesday with update 70. So that's where we are on that. What happened to my backdrop? Guess we'll go with Mythdraenor here. All right. I wanted to also call out that the Night Revels continues. I was not here last week, but the Night Revels is continuing through November 3rd. We have heard some calls, especially with the game performance issues that we saw over the past week or so, of, hey, can we get a Night Revels extension? We're considering it. We're looking into it. Typically, we have found that after the end of October becomes kind of early mid-November, the interest in seasonal spooky events tends to diminish significantly. But there's also, it's kind of like, well, it's also, why not? We could. So we're thinking about it, and we'll let you know here as we get perhaps a little bit closer to November 3rd. But you know, let us know. Let us know if you do want that extra time or whatever. But that is happening right now, and that runs through November 3rd. For sales, just want to mention that our coupon is Better Than Badges, gets you a free moderate heal times 10. I bring that up because, remember, these coupon codes are one per account. And because you might look at a free moderate heal potion times 10 and go, yeah, as if, fine, let's go to them all. No, but what I'm saying is, Cormier arrives on Wednesday. And so maybe save that Better Than Bandages coupon for your first level 1 character here on Cormier, because, hey, you know what? Who could use 10 free moderate heal potions? That person. Just saying. Yep. I will get to your questions and some chat here in just a little bit. I wanted to call out that we do have a particularly nice bonus going on through Tuesday as well. This is a 10% buddy boost. That means 10% XP per player in your group. Hirelings don't count. Summons don't count. So anyone other than you. That means you get up to 50% extra XP in a quest. This one does not include raids. But you also get plus 10% Reaper XP, and that's through Tuesday, October 22nd. We're running this one really through our downtime, and then when the worlds come back up, it'll no longer be available. And then I think before I get in game and show you that quest and play a little bit of video here and then answer some of your questions while it's playing, I would also call out that not next week, but the week after is when our next Year of the Dragon kicks out. So that'll be on Wednesday, October 30th for the next Year of the Dragon activation. And the reason that is relevant is that this is one of those kind of somewhat more special ones. So this one is going to be, right now, you've got through until October 30th to pick up your Prismatic Dragon outfit. October is going to be the Horde of Discovery selector box. So, bunch of things for related to that we are being coy about, and I'm not telling you today. maybe next Friday I can have some more information about that. Either way, we got a selector box arriving on October 30th. That one is also going to be limited to 1 per account, so make sure you claim that one. Most of these, like that Prismatic Dragon outfit, you can get 1 million of them if you want. The Horde of Discovery selector box is 1 per account, so get it on the server of choice. Doesn't have to be Cormier. It can be whatever one you want, but make sure you know which server it's going to be on. Okay. There we are with the Lanterns in the Mist, and I am going to get to your questions here in just a second, but I'm going to play this video. Just for context, I knew that Cormier was going to have its not just public preview, but full shut off at about 9:30 this morning. So I wasn't going to be able to display the Lanterns in the Mist stuff that was available all week long during the preview during Friday's show. So what I did late last night, once I realized that, you mean it's going to be down for me too? Frankly, we're taking that server down so it can actually have whatever needs to be done to get it ready to actually hook up to the live game world on Wednesday. So that's what's up. And because of that, I couldn't do this live. So I pre-recorded this late last night, and we're going to play this while I answer some questions. This is going through the level 1 story quest that gets you into the Lanterns in the Mist event. And it'll tell you a little bit about what's going on and how this event's going to work. And then as the video goes on, I'm going to show you the items that you can get for rewards and show you a little bit about the Lanterns as well. I'm not actually going to go into a quest on this video. By the time I got done, I guess it was a little after midnight or whatever. I'm not spoiling everything, but this is just really the introduction to the Lanterns in the Mist event. So I thought it would be appropriate to do during today's show while I'm answering questions, which I figured would likely, at least in part, be about the Lanterns in the Mist event. So here we go. Look ma, no hands, and I'm going to play this thing. If I can figure out how to do it. Yes. There we go. This is a level 1 quest. Because, remember, this is going to be on Cormier starting on Wednesday. You'll probably just run that level 1 because you're going to want to get your lantern and start getting your stuff done. But it is a level 1 solo quest, and it's something that will really introduce you and onboard you. It's a requirement to get started with the Lanterns in the Mist event. If you don't run it, you don't have to.
You emerge from a dark tunnel into an eerily quiet clearing.
Probably want to run it right away
of a village.
Once you get in.
The buildings reduced to rubble, the wilderness reclaiming the streets. Yet you see some figures huddling in the darkness ahead. The villager trembles as she warns you about a horrific creature stalking the jungle.
So, Luna Rose Dragon wants to know when champions are going to drop Maybar chests again. I think it may be that doesn't happen until after this year's event, but if that's not the case, then it'll be perhaps in next week's release notes. But I don't think so, and I think unfortunately the issue we found is that there was some...
haunted eyes widen as he shares his story. Someone new has come into the domain after so long. With their arrival, he feels a glimmer of hope that perhaps he might survive the mists.
There was some behavior going on with those Maybar chests that was really causing problems for the game worlds, and it was just, I don't think that we can really bring it back too quickly or easily. I think people know what was happening, because I don't think it's anything all that new that people have been finding places where they could perhaps just sit there and get a whole bunch of chests. But that was in fact happening,
The
and it was
villager
causing
cries
problems.
softly as she speaks of the horrors she has witnessed. The friends long lost to the evils of their Yuan Ti rulers. You have heard the tales of each abandoned villager trying to survive in these ruins. You proceed with caution, warned of the threats ahead.
Johnny Hunt, there are no transfers to or from Cormier at launch. It may be in the future
You
that
hear
we'll
a
open
low
up
rumble,
transfers from
like the
if we want
sound of a
to,
predator
but at least for now,
seeking
there'll be
out
no
its
transfers to or from Cormier.
The rumbling grows louder. You are drawing closer to the source.
Yes, the 64-bit server of Cormier is VIP only.
You notice a massive figure on a ledge above. Its footfalls thud as it moves through the trees, leaving the smell of brimstone in its wake. Such a horror may be too much for you to handle. Best to steer clear of it. You spot a tall bush. Its leaves are large enough to
This
conceal you
mechanic is
from view,
we've done
should the
something
need
like
arise.
this in the past, but this will be somewhat new, and I think in part it's going to be new to a bunch of the perhaps new players that come onto Cormier. But we're going to be teaching them a little bit about sneaking in this, and that's what those squares are about. There's this section of this story quest where, because it's a level 1
There it
quest,
is.
it's not a
The
lot of
fiend you
combat
saw
things,
just
right?
a
This is really
moment
more
ago.
about getting
Quick,
you into the
hide in
idea.
the bushes.
And so we're playing around with this neat little sneak ability thing where you just sort of sneak into these bushes and then wait for the enemy, in this case, this Baylord, to sort of not see me. What makes repeaters so different from regular crossbows? There's a combination of things. So I assume you've actually played with one, but if not, repeaters go and each one of those is sort of an independent projectile with all of its bits that go along with it. All the debuffs or buffs and other aspects related to targeting and what have you. So by its very nature, it essentially has 3 times the weight of a regular crossbow in terms of its impact on the game world. And if you take, let's say, just a level 5 base repeater of some kind, it's fast-ish, but it's not breaking a bank or anything like that. But I think we all know that the way we build our characters in GDO, not just these days, but for quite some time now, has really been to max out that attack speed, especially on something like a repeater build. The faster you shoot, the more hits you get, the more damage and procs you get, etc. It's exponential, but it does become somewhat exponential over time.
As you turn the
And
corner,
and frankly,
you see
we're
that it's
beyond the limit of
teleported into
where
your
it
path once again.
should have been. And we recognize that. I think most players have recognized that during these discussions about both repeater issues over the years and Lagan specific. And so we are making these changes here to address that. The double shot thing is a big deal because you're not going to be, especially not losing that 66% on a repeater, is going to lead to some pretty big changes. So my suspicion is that players are pretty quickly not just going to work around it, but work around it plus. And we'll see how things go. But that is something that's a pretty big part of it, and it really does have to do with the fact that repeaters, especially if you have a very high attack speed, it's it's just causing problems.
You
So.
hear a rustle in the trees as the lever is pulled. You turn around and see that the fiend is headed straight towards you.
I will have my revenge!
Anything on creating a fire rune arm button that you can place on an action bar. Gosh, I sure would love that. I have not heard of anything like that. I don't know if perhaps Steel Star has ever mentioned it somewhere. I'm not familiar of any discussion that we've had about doing
You
something
sneak
like
away
that.
from the demon.
But
and
I like
it's
that
a
idea a whole
relentless
heck of a
pursuit.
lot. So
You've managed to evade it for
that
now.
sounds good to me.
Rest here for a moment and catch your breath. You found every
I think that we recognize that if
You
we
found a
do
plot
this
that
change right,
describes what led
probably
Sewage Park
DPS is
to
going
its
up, but
current
proc rate
wretched
is clearly
state.
going to be going down pretty significantly. So related to some of those debuffs and other aspects that go into what you're firing and why. You know, I think we're all pretty clear-headed that if you reduce the frequency of those, you're going to have a big impact. I think hopefully that damage is going to more than offset it, but we'll see.
A large tablet is propped up here against a stone shrine.
Nice loot.
After reading
That
this
is a
tablet,
good question.
you
Dawn's
understand
early
that the
light.
creature that
Since
has been
Cormier
hunting
is
you
VIP
is
only,
called a
it will
Baylor.
not be the
It's
default
trapped
server,
here in the
correct?
jungle,
Question mark. I
cursed
would assume
to
that that is
forever
true.
seek revenge.
Ultimately,
As for
the
what trapped
default,
the Baylor here, it would
what's
seem
called the
that
default
the
world
Five
is
Fangs
the recommended
is the
world.
name of the Dark Lord
You hear us.
behind this chaos and destruction. A door opens at the edge of the clearing. You make haste, worried that the Baylor could return.
The recommended world is basically if you have a first launch game client on like a brand new account, you'll have a
The
recommended
Baylor
server
rounds the
that
corner,
generally
then
is part of a
slams headfirst
population
into an
balancing
invisible
mechanism.
barrier. It narrows
And to
its
funnel
eyes
people
at you
into
across the
active
river.
worlds or whatever.
Rejoice, outsider.
I would assume that you
I
are correct, that we would
cannot
probably not put Cormier in that position
Trespass
at
in
this time,
this
because
jungle
most of that
again, and I will
group
hunt
is
you
going to
down
be your
and
initial
feast
free-to-play
on your
players.
smoldering bones.
And we wouldn't put them in a
Tell the
VIP only
Dark
world where
Lord
their
that
first
I
experience
will
was a Red
never
X.
Stop. One day, revenge will be mine.
The Baylor teleports away, leaving you safe from the monster at last.
So Woody Rocker, my belief is no one has said no to me about picking up that Year of the Dragon reward box on Cormier. I don't see why not. And we even did something kind of like that over on the Lord of the Rings side not that long ago. Where you could pick up some legendary items that you wouldn't be able to use in those legendary worlds for a long time. And we just left it as an option, as a choice.
You emerge from the narrow passageway and into a clearing. An imposing temple stands before you.
But we also level up more
Abandoned.
quickly.
The murmur of voices comes from around the corner.
Will Cormier be part of the eventual 64-bit super servers in the future? It is part of that, yes. So I think what Severlin and others have talked about, Tolero, for example, has also talked about this. Oh, I should just mention here quick, the reason there's a couple of cuts in this video is when I record this video live, it gets split into, 2.4 gigabit files or whatever, and whenever there's a file cut, because I'm actually saving this on an old mechanical drive rather than an SSD, there's like a little buffering thing for about 20 seconds where the footage just doesn't become usable, so I had to go in and cut that out. So whenever you see a fade like that in this video, there's going to be one or two others. That's basically because the file that I'm editing this video in had to switch. Anyway, okay, so as Severlin and Tolero have talked about in the past here, our plan is once we get Cormier launched, we intend to work on a project of indeterminate length that is going to allow us to open 64-bit servers that all other servers could transfer to, that would not be VIP gated. And the way to you could say it's the really a mega server project is sort of the idea. It would probably be a couple, because
The
we'll see.
leaders of the Order
It'd
of
probably
the
be a
Guardians
couple.
ask you to
But
take
one of the
up a
things we have to
lantern
deal with
and use it to
first.
hunt down mist
You can see
stalkers,
I just
trap
completed
their
the adventure
essence
here.
within the lantern and return to them. You find a saber-toothed tiger in full regalia, a saddle latched onto its back. It nuzzles against your hand when you reach out to touch it. You've come as far as you could into this domain of dread. Using the Guardian's directions, you can now embark on the next part of your quest. With their help, you
I was just
will
poking around the
eventually
walls
be
to see
able
how far
to
I could get.
unseal the temple and confront the Five Fangs.
So the idea would be you don't take a 32-bit server, plug in a module or
The
something, and make
entrance
it a
to this temple has
64-bit
been
server.
sealed.
This is not really
You'll
how
need
it
to find the
works. So what you
power
would
to
basically
open
do
the
is you
door.
create a 64-bit server, and then we would allow transfers to whatever subset of these 64-bit servers we end up creating. And those would be open to anyone. And then presumably at some point then we would do whatever we're going to end up doing with the 32-bit worlds. Either keep them around or presumably do some kind of closure consolidation of them or something like that. But that's a long time off, right? Because what we have to deal with first is a whole bunch of considerations that have prevented this sort of thing from happening in the past, which are still a blocker. Things like your creature companion stable, your mount stable, your monster manual account-based rewards after a character transfer. It's one thing if it's voluntary, another thing if we're doing a consolidation and we want to get it fixed anyway. Guilds, as people have said, some kind of mechanism by which you can either pack a guild up in a guild case, bring it with you, and then open that guild case up again, or some kind of way where you can essentially rebuild your guild on a destination world. So a whole bunch of technical engineering, content design, UI work is going to have to be done before that's possible. And a lot of that is why we are opening Cormier as a VIP world. The other reason, as we're doing, is a fresh start server, we know from our recent experience on the Lotro side, offers a really, we believe, very high quality experience, in part because it doesn't have some of the other things that cause game performance issues in the game, like serialization, your character data footprint, and some of the associated cruft that happens when you're playing someone like Armagon Kyver, who was created back in 2006. So there's a whole bunch of factors as to why we're doing this. There's also population control factors. You know, we clearly want Cormier to be popular and think it will be. But we also know that if it was truly just a server that everyone could dump into for free, we would probably be in an unsustainable place. You can see here I'm showing off some of the rewards. Yeah, so the way you're going to get started, the NPCs will become available after you run that quest. You're going to go in, you'll run the quest, and then it'll get unlocked for you on the server. Future characters will not have to rerun it. You can, if you want to, rerun it as often as you want to, but you only need to run it the first time. And then you'll be set up for the event on subsequent characters. I know that there is interest in us bringing the Mimic event back to the live game worlds, and that seems like something we can probably do. I don't know, given the timing of everything else we have going on, when the right time to do it is. But I've been seeing that too. There's a bunch, at least a handful of you who are persistent in asking about the Mimic hunt. So yeah, I'm sure it'll happen here at some point. We'll get it done, but I don't actually currently know of it being on the calendar. Yes, Dark Wolfer, I'm getting back to your follow-up to your original comment. It is a different box than we've offered before. We have not done this one yet. Was that the Sword of Shadow? Was I wearing the Sword of Shadow? I usually wear the Lacerator. Maybe I had the Sword of Shadow on. Okay. Yes, it is a recorded video. When will the Nivman event be announced? It comes from your heart. So, listen to your heart. Listen to your heart. Let it speak to you. Yes, Belgorod. The voice actor is Amelia Tyler. Tyler. Sorry, I just drove like 2,200 miles this week. Had a fun time camping. It was great. I saw an alligator. Yeah, Calibano Didio, your astral shard balance would certainly be another thing that we would need to figure out were we to do a future 64-bit, including character transfers plan, for sure. These rewards will not, in fact, be available on the 32-bit worlds, and the reason for that is these are the rewards for the Lanterns in the Mist event arriving on Cormier, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern next Wednesday, October 23rd. This is the mount. This is I think the hardest one to get, just so you know. I think this is the hardest one to get. And that's what happens when you hit space. I wanted to show that off. I'm going to have the dance here in a little bit, too. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Dark Wolfer. The answer is, this one specifically is once per account rather than once per game world. And it's set up specifically that way because of the nature of the reward we're giving out. So you need to pick which server you want it on. I will have an article for the 30th when that goes live that explains the process of how that's going to work. Alright, bye-bye me. Bye-bye me. I have a little bit of time yet, so let me fire up the Didio game client and bum around in Night Revels or something. I don't know. We'll celebrate the spookiness. There we go. That is true. These are core... Let me see what, let me call up. This would be a good place to put this in. We do have our write-up about the event. Let me go and bring up Torque's thread about that here. So, the event begins by playing the dungeon you just saw. You'll be able to acquire a variety of lanterns from that order in the Hall of Heroes. They slot into your cosmetic shield slot. It'll allow you to detect Miststalkers and fight them better. Think a little bit like the Vecna item that allows you to see the invisible chests. Kind of the same concept at play here that'll allow you to see and then defeat the Mistwalkers that attack you in various places. You can hunt mist stalkers in any content that you want to, except they're not in raids. You do have to have a lantern equipped in your cosmetic shield slot while the event is on. As you defeat mist stalkers, their equipped lantern's durability goes up. Once the lantern is full, you'll then turn it in to the Guardian for a cosmetic reward, similar to hardcore. Earn it for all your characters on all servers. So once it is flagged to your account, like a hardcore season, once you earn it on Cormier, you'll be able to get it on all of your characters on all game worlds. There's 5 kinds of regular lanterns. They're all bound to character. That can be banked, but not shared, traded, auctioned, or mailed. And they each are a little bit different. There's an easy-to-fill one, the Lantern of the Pledge, cosmetic half-cloak. The Lantern of the Order, a lot longer to fill, only advances on Reaper, gets you a full cloak. The Lantern of the Shield, medium length to fill, gets you a cosmetic shield, which you saw earlier. Lantern of the Seeker, very long to fill, that gets you the Sabertooth mount. That's, like I said, the longest one is the mount. Lantern of the Keepers, medium length to fill, gets you a Magic Lantern cosmetic pet. There's also a hardcore component, so there's a skull version of each of those lanterns, acquired from the hardcore Guardian vendor. It's the other vendor that's in the Hall of Heroes. The skull lanterns are destroyed when you die, and they can only be acquired at level 1, so you must speak to that NPC at level 1 to get your skull lantern if you want to do that. If you're iconic, yep, that means you're going to have to not iconicize and be level 1, rank 1. Skull lanterns cannot be banked. They are turned in for skull badged versions, the rewards above. Basically, when you saw me swapping between the version of the item with the skull on it and the version that didn't have it, or in the case of the cosmetic lantern, the one with the face and the one without the face, the skull lanterns are similar to the other lanterns, except they have this hardcore mechanic, thus harder to earn. The amount of lantern progress rewarded for defeating a Miststalker is relative to the quest's difficulty and the kind of Miststalker that spawned. No progress is rewarded if a character's level is 3 above the dungeon's base level. I'm assuming base level on normal. Generally the base CR of a dungeon, so level 3R. The CR3 dungeon on normal would be 5 on elite, and that means you cannot be, let's see, so it's 3, 4, 5. You need to not be level 6, would be the way I would think that reads. Lanterns may stop progressing if the player's character level doesn't keep up with the lantern's power level as it gains durability. If the player levels up to that threshold, they will resume progress. You can see what level is required by looking at it. Looking at the lantern in your inventory. When a Miststalker is killed, only lanterns within 45 meters benefit, so other people in your group. Some Miststalkers have disposable minions that don't count for lantern rewards. The actual Miststalkers will always have a title saying Miststalker. Lanterns and their progress carry through all types of reincarnation. And I think that probably answers most of the questions. We will have more information about the duration of the event. If I can get that information by the time we go live, I will do that. I believe we should have it by then. It is an event with a duration, correct. So this Lanterns in the Mist event will not persist forever. But the specific timing of it and how long is not something I want to speak to today. Yes, the Mist ones are for normal play, not a hardcore thing. I mean, you still have to give up your cosmetic shield slot and, do the thing. You don't have to do the thing if you don't want to. But why not, right? So. Yes, you can TR to level 1 and get them. Yes, I believe the way it'll probably end up having to work is some version of the order will have to appear on the regular game worlds, probably in the Hall of Heroes or something. and then it'll check to see whether you've earned it on Cormier. I don't know if we've got that system set up at the moment, but I will have to talk to the team next week. I can put in a request for a Champion Hunter week. I don't actually know when the next one is, but we usually rotated it fairly regularly, so. You can only get lantern charges for equipped lanterns. I'm not 100% sure what you mean. Now, there is that mechanic where they've got the clickies, right? And so, yes, in order to use it, you would use it from your hotbar or click on it in your paper doll. Either way, yes, it's going to have to be equipped, because even if it was in your inventory, if you wanted to activate it, you're going to equip it first. So, yes, you will have to have it equipped in order to use the benefit from the lantern that allows you to see the in battle the mist stalkers there. My understanding is they can show up anywhere except for raids. I don't know about... I haven't asked specifically about wilderness zones, but let me see if I can find you an answer. I don't see it in the document I've got. No, I don't have it in Torque's write-up that I'm looking at. Alright. Yep, there we go. Well, gosh, we're at 4:48. What was I doing? I am going to log in briefly, and we're going to celebrate Halloween, because we do have night revels going on here. Where should I be? I want to be on... We could bring this event to other game worlds. That is a possibility for the future. I'm not saying that we have any direct plans to do that at this time, but I think in theory we could. Or we could save it and do it again for the next round of 64-bit servers or something like that. But for now, we want you playing on Cormier, so we're gonna make you do that. You will, Nimvind, be able to use these rewards on your main characters. We already said in the write-up that was on the Monia that that Torque wrote, that once you acquire a reward on Cormier, you will be able to get it on the rest of the game worlds as well. I think the outstanding question, and the one thing I don't know, is whether that's going to be available next Wednesday with Update 70, or whether that's going to be, afterwards. I don't know if we've got that set up yet. That's true too. We did. I noticed that as well, that we do have the word Season 1 in these rewards, so we'll have to see. So I have been out of the office for the past 8 days on a long camping trip, and some of the answer as to what is in Update 70 therefore, I simply don't know. I got back on Wednesday, I fell asleep, I got up on Thursday and worked all day, and I fell asleep, and now I got up and I'm working here all day, and I haven't had the chance really to go through all the Update 70 release notes yet. That's either going to be something I do right away on Monday, or if I end up having a little time, I may even get some of that this weekend. So some of the what else is in there, I'm not sure on. But Update 70 is largely in support of the Lanterns in the Mists event, the Year of the Dragon item, the launch of Cormier, and the targeted game performance improvements that we've been working on over the past few weeks. And what else do we got? think that's all I see right now. And then we do have another quest pack that'll be coming, but that's set for update 71 here. All right. I'm on Orion. I mentioned this 2 weeks ago when I was doing this show, that I was planning to run my first 2024 edition of the new D&D tabletop while I was camping. And I did. I did the thing. It turns out, though, it wasn't me being the DM. My 13-year-old son, Jeffrey, has decided that he's into D&D, and we've been playing it, and he said, "Hey, Dad, I want a DM." All right, let's do it. So he brought out some cool stuff that he got for his birthday, maps and things. He got a really cool airship, which also doubles as a boat map. A bunch of really nice things from like C4 Labs and such. Good stuff. I got him the 2024 Players Guide, both physical and digital, along with the dice tower, because he didn't have a dice tower yet. A few other bits. But I had my chance to run it for realsies here during the camping trip, and not just a little bit. I played because I was a player. I was excited to do that because I've actually been very curious about the new fighter and the 2024 version of D&D Tabletop. I have personally I mean, I don't know if it's, is it great? I don't know. I don't care. Is it cool? Very much so. And I seem to be doing an awful lot of nice damage there. I am kind of digging what I got going on for my 2024 fighter, and I kind of want it in DDO instead. But that's fine. Either way, I'm digging the fighter in the new edition. I like, because there's both 4 subclasses each that are all fairly different, but just some of the core level up mechanics of the fighter, some of the different options you have are pretty fun, pretty gosh darn fun in my XP. I don't know how many of you have done that. How many of you are playing tabletop D&D these days? And if so, have you started playing with the 2024 rules yet? That's funny. In D&D, you can fantasize that you're better than you are in DDO. Pretty good. I think we all know, though, our DDO characters would absolutely destroy our D&D characters. I mean, I know mine would. How many of your D&D characters have 7,000 hit points? Step one. Step one. How many of your D&D characters have 7,000 hit points? Okay. There we go. So I should actually maybe call up my fighter character before I speak too much to it. I can't think of the names of all the things that I've done to do it. But, so one of the things I've done on this character that I think is particularly working out neat is that I have like a big battle axe that you can either do one or two-handed, and those rules are a little different than 5, regular base 5th. But on top of that, I have the ability to use... I get a boost with unarmed. So my base hit die for unarmed can go up to, I think it's 1d6 or 1d8 plus 3. But then on top of that, I have proficiency through Tavern Brawler, I have proficiency in improvised weapons. So And then I have a couple of abilities in my, is something similar to kind of feats that are part of you using your superiority die on. I've got some things where I can take if I'm using my improvised weapons count as unarmed, and if it's unarmed, I can basically do all sorts of good bits with it and use my superiority die to do different things. One of the things I can do is a force taunt. The other thing I can do is, that I particularly like, is I can disarm them. That means that I can make them drop their main weapon. Now, I think we all know in D&D, dropping your weapon isn't the end of the world. You just sort of use a bonus action or whatever to pick it up. But still, it's a thing that you have to do. And so I've got the ability to basically use anything improvised and chuck it at someone and disarm the enemy from a pretty great distance. So, for example, if, I don't know, if Sauron's sitting there with the Ring of Power or something like that, and, you know, you are no man, I could be like, well, that's kind of rude. But then I could pick up a paper clip from the bar, flick it at it, hit the guy, drop that whatever he's holding as his main weapon, and then use my superiority die to do something like 1d6 plus 3 plus 1d8 damage. And I think that that is pretty fun. So, I have been enjoying that very much lately. And it's essentially using Tavern Brawler and the new kind of spendable abilities that are part of the new fighter ability list. We've got a couple dozen to pick from, and at any given point between rests you can swap them out. But they're basically like activated abilities that you can use during combat that are fueled by superiority die that are D8s that go up as you level up. Alright, well, we're just about out of time here. Let me see. So I'm not completely off. Let me see if I can just quick call that up. Yeah, so I'm a fighter battle master, is essentially what I am. And, yeah. So yeah, it's unarmed fighting, and then I've got different bits from that. Alright. Anyway, it's fun. Can we get a jack-o'-lantern cosmetic pet next year? I like that idea. That sounds great. Let's do that. We should do that. I mean, it would... So the thing is, like with the pet rock, we have a pet rock. It's in the community loot list. Oh, and by the way, Extra Life is going to be coming here in the next week or so. That's outside of getting ready for Cormier. My biggest task next week is to get Extra Life sorted for both games and get that announced by probably next Friday at this time. I'll have all that out. So do stay tuned for Extra Life information for the year. But that'll be neither here nor there. Anyway, it's got a pet rock in it. We could use a pet rock, I would think, as a jack-o'-lantern base. But we would need to figure out a way to have like it roll in a way that was convincing. Because you don't really need to animate it so much on a pet rock, but for a jack-o'-lantern you would. Paxilliman, I don't know the answer to that one. Whether Sealstar or someone else on systems may be having a additions coming to haste boost or faster attacking builds like Razor Claw, Shifter, Hand Wraps builds. I don't really know what our short, medium term plans are for class work. So perhaps we'll have to shelve that one for a future week here. All right. Thanks for watching Fridays at 4 on twitch.tv/DDOstream. I will see you next week on Cormier with more. These shows do get up on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube afterwards. Thank you so much for being here. Please do give us a like and consider subscribing to us if you want to get these videos in your feed. It does help spread the word about this game and what we do here. Also, thanks to everyone on DDOstream. We have shows all week long. You can find it all over on twitch.tv/DDOstream. Have fun, everyone. Have a great weekend. Talk to you again next week.